Good morning, everyone. All right, let's see where things are at here. Deteriorating a little bit more than a little bit from where it was before. All right, so we were talking about yesterday morning, anyway, the depth of retracement into the green bar, and we discussed about can it get further into that, and the deeper it goes, the better from a bullish point of view. So it got pretty deep and reached a significant resistance area. Ah, thank you, Dan. I don't know why I forget that. Like forgetting my head, right? No charts. What are we talking about? All right. So they came up to this significant resistance area there, all these overlapping bars. And the assumption is it'll stall. From there, the next part of our thought process, the analysis is, well, does it collapse from there or does it go sideways? That gives us a read as to our traders more confident, or are they just, was this a technical bounce after that nasty move to the downside off of a technical area, and now that it's in the next technical resistance area where there's converging moving averages and price data overlapping each other, there's going to be a significant amount of sellers there. Define significant. That's the unknown. We know it's significant when we see the reaction to their reference point. If it goes sideways there and it chops around, that's positive. If we see it close under this low today, we say that, well, it was more than likely just a technical bounce into resistance after an extreme move, and we're likely to test these lows. So we can see where prices are right now. We look to the left and we see it's gapping down near yesterday's open, pretty close to it. Now, after yesterday, I was thinking, well, maybe it'll gap up and that'll be prices would sell off anyway. But that would give it more room to come down into this bar, which would have been much more positive. Let's say it gapped up here. You see the pivots there to the left on that middle chart at the bottom. More sellers, and it would have come down and then maybe held. So just reversing this concept of how far could it penetrate into where it gapped down from to, okay, now it rallied up. It's gapping down here. Right? See my cursor? This is yesterday. This is yesterday's bar. That's the open. That's the close. And now it's coming down. You see what my cursor is on the daily chart as it lines up with that chart? Yeah. So again, we formulate if this, then that. So if it had gapped up here, it would have been more positive because then we would see how far could it penetrate into this green bar. Does it hold in this area? And now we've got this gap down and it's continuing to erode in this another 25 minutes, and maybe it'll be down at the low, and we'll just see. Again, this bluish area is what's happening before the market open overnight and pre-market, and the white area is what happened yesterday. So we'll continue to monitor to see. Initially, this initial starting point, again, no, it's not 9:30 yet, obviously, but it could rally back up again. It may be going down. As you can see, we've got a void here. Short move up, topping, attempted to go higher, which failed. Sellers took advantage up there. And now, unless it creates a higher level of support, the assumption is it's going down there. When it gets down there, there'll be buyers, and we'll wait to see what happens. Right? That's what we do day to day. Look at higher time frames, look at lower time frames. Ideally, we get scenarios where they're aligned in some manner at support and resistance and trends, and we find opportunities. Right now, what we find is so far, prices opening here. Do they hold there? Do they rally back up and get another green bar? All of those possibilities will be revealed to us as the day progresses. Right? So, as I let me clean this up and just see where this is on the 65-minute. Some congested area right there, some support. You see, this is where it held the other day. Maybe there's a little bit of buying in there, 6,800 or 6,800 on the SPX, which we're going to see. And so the two areas of these bars, it won't match up exactly, but we're just within a giant trading range. It's the same thing. There's an extreme move, and the market's playing ping pong with us, bouncing us back and forth. It just expanded the range. So we need to see what bar is going to form today. I'll double check SPX since that's inched down. There's probably some adjustment here that should be made. 66. No, it's the same. It was a little higher earlier in the day, and 69.20, same thing. It's not moving, even though it's moving down. So either of these is far enough away to assume it's not going to get there. This is above a whole number. Got 6,800 coming. So as this comes down here in SPX, I want to see the 6,800 hold. And even if it dips down below it, you can see each time it gets down there, it holds an up, hold up, you know, poke down below and poke way down below and came up. So assuming it's down there, does it hold? And I'm looking where 6,800 is. There isn't a whole lot of much of anything to hold it there as far as price support. So we'll see what happens. Just looking at expiring today, the high volume put strike is 6,800. So that should provide a level of support. You've got a whole number, right? Psychological effects, whatever whole numbers have. And you've got so far this morning, the most volume going into that put strike. So traders are betting it's going to go down there. And of course, anybody that buys that is assuming or hoping anyway that it would go below it and increase profits. Okay. All right. Let's look at the Qs. They had a nice move. They got above that prior bar's high. Again, so depth of retracement. We don't use retracements for Fibonacci's. We use retracements to measure the power or the lack thereof of movements and where they are in relation to more significant support and resistance. So this is not gapping down as far. I saw overnight AVGO made a statement that AI is not affecting their software business. And that was up significantly. I don't know if it still is, but that's a plus. We'll see what semiconductors do today. So Qs now are in the middle of that green bar. You can see where my cursor is. And looking at how the structure formed on the intraday basis, it's got a void. There's nothing there. And once it gets down here to yesterday's low, if that's going to happen, we don't know. Buyers will show up. What we look for, right, and I use a 5-minute chart intraday. This is just easier pre-market to condense that, is to see if it begins to form pivots, bars with 3 higher lows to the left and right. So when we look to the left like this and say, oh, there's no support, well, we have to have a concept called creating support, and that starts with a pivot. Then if it retests that pivot, maybe it could turn back up again. Well, again, we'll see where things are at and the market opens. All right. IWM. I didn't get to the top of the range. It's at resistance, as you can see here, like the S&Ps. It's moving down to yesterday's low. So still within the trading range, big mess. And the diamonds, they were the weakest. Where are they? Gapping down to yesterday's low. So in between these bars, we'll see where it tries to hold or not. Yeah, and just take a look at something here. I took a look at KRE. That was all over the place. All right. And so you looking at this XBI to evaluate the Russell, that came back off of the lows. And energy was coming down yesterday. And now it's up a little bit because crude oil, as you can see here, is green. So whatever's happening there in the Middle East, it's not, you don't have traders saying, you know what, what is communicating is what, as well as it may be going, the coast isn't all clear. As oil's starting to move back up again, and clearly, equity markets are down a little bit, nothing significant. And so we'll just run through these futures markets. Let's look at Bitcoin because that was the star yesterday. Just having a resting day so far. Let's put this on 15-minute. This might form what we call a 1, 2, 3, which would be great. A little resting day after a wide range day at resistance has got plenty of room to go up. So we'll be watching to see what that does. Ethereum did not move as much, but still a similar pattern. It'll move with it, whichever way it's going to go. Ideally, it gets a resting day. And let's go up here. Inside bar, here's Russell Futures inside bar. It's just, I think, kind of messy, looking to see what might have better opportunities here. That could certainly go down to the low of the day. It's already moved here. Be watching all of them. Same thing, trading inside of yesterday's range. Holding up much better. It's on the pivots here. So does it get turned around? We'll have to be watching all to see, does this continue to show relative strength and hold here? And it might be just flip-flopping around all day inside this range, a little lower, a little higher. As you can see, it's got room to fall if that is going to happen, but so far it's holding its support. We'll see if it continues to do that. And IWM, same story inside the range. So more uncertainty. Well, how do we define that? Tails and overlapping bars. Pretty simple. Gold came down a bunch, holding at the bottom of a wide range red bar. The longer it holds there, the greater the odds it's going to go down. Remember, wide range red bars create voids. When it goes sideways, if it can't go back up, and it's just creating pivot highs and lows, right? It spends time down here, shows to us that sellers continue to overwhelm whatever demand is there, and that opens the door to lower. So far, it hasn't violated any support. And silver, not too much different. But so as we look at all of these charts this morning, they communicate essentially, let's wait and see what happens. Let's get more information. Which way are we going to go? Obviously the economic reports and so the war and so on has created a lot of uncertainty, and that's going to take time to calm down. Um, and as we look at what beaten down, we see things that did great. So where are they today? I don't get too much data there. And IGV software, it's coming off of the high there a little bit. So my takeaway is, looking at these things that have shown relative strength, most things are at some resistance. Can they absorb that resistance? How are they going to deal with it? Do prices collapse? We'll just have to see how this day unfolds. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. I went through all opens, set new alarms, and I actually don't have too many alarms going off here. All our put spreads are holding fine as of now. We'll see how much they continue. So this is one IGV. We're long this in the ETF letter, climb, bottoming pattern, little inverse head and shoulder, climb on the weekly. A lot of similar patterns like that. Bottoming breakouts, climbos. So we'll trade them. Z Zulu alarm. See, so that's similar, but it hasn't triggered yet. My alarm just popped though. I had an alarm up here at 4780. So that, let's see if that can take out a 30-minute high. Coin. We've been on this for a while. We actually bought a half a lot on this first breakout. See, similar, breakout from bottoming pattern Climo. I told you there's a ton of them. And then we sat through that pullback, gapped up, we added. Look at yesterday on volume. So that looks great. Hood. This was in the weekend letter for a put spread. We did not get filled because of the gap up yesterday, but I just posted another one. I said over the closing price. So let's wait 10-minute high just because of the market coming in here. So let me tell the weekly people. JD alarm. Um, Climo. It looks like my up alarm got pegged right there, but slapped back down, so no rush for that. Yeah, a couple earnings here. Abgo, Greg mentioned, and I deleted a bunch already, but here's a couple in the news. Abgo sloppy 331. Don't like it as directional, but today's Thursday, so maybe one DTE put spread. Bravo Julia 94.50. That's an ugly gap. Wow, gapping under all of this mess with a void, but it's down a lot. We'll come back to it. Burrow, I don't like it directional because it's gapping to junk. But look, it's gapping. Well, it's actually gapping above junk. Look at 320. So that's a put spread idea. Maybe 30-minute high could, go up to 330. I have it here in the bottom right. Let me type those out. Oh, it's because this thing scrolls, as you know. Yeah, Z I already mentioned. But let me get through these earnings first. So that was Burl. BVS gapping over red bar. And the monthly has room. So that's a watch. I don't like all these overlapping bars. I guess just shy away from trading patterns like that. But this is now a shock. So it's a gap breakout, shock pattern. There's the JD. Let me just reset the alarm. Um, Visco. Sam's on the board of this. A bearish gap. That's a call spread. 30-minute low. 1 DTE call spread. Big topping pattern. Bear gap. Wiley, I like as a 30-minute high. Look where it's gapping here, 32.50. Well, that's actually a pretty big gap. So I'd prefer a controlled pullback and reversal. I have that in the middle chart here. This I would have liked for a bottoming pattern if it broke out, but now it's not. Kerbal 33 and change. Gap in a resistance. Go 670. That's a big ugly gap. All time frames are ugly. Oh, that's who knows? That thing might be headed to the graveyard. I'm not saying you can't get a short-term bounce, but that's ugly. MA, I'm not sure what the news was. This is actually a sloppy sell setup, but it's also a bull 1-2-3 at resistance. So that if this takes out these highs, that could be a put spread under Tuesday's low. XYZ, it's just up too much. I don't like reward to risk. Affirm, potential bottoming pattern, Climo weekly, Alpha Romeo, gap in the 38.90. I mean, this is bullish consolidation, but it's gapping up, and I'm not chasing things here. CLAR bottoming pattern, but there's no turn yet. I have an alarm up here, 14 and change. VEVE 205. That's a nice bottoming pattern, but for the gap been too big. But see how that's stabilized. It's gone sideways. 3 weeks. You got your Climo again on the weekly. You got a bear gap negated, closing breakout, a 1-2-3. So that's a beautiful pattern to go to the 50 MA, but guess what? It's already gapping there. I forget what the news was on this TTD, but this thing has been devastated from $140. But gap reversal 1-2-3, and then it started rebuilding. Climb on the weekly, but the gap's too big. What am I going to do with that? JD we already looked at. Octo mess. Here's Alex's things. Yeah, it has to get above here. But I'll set an alarm 234. I always set early alarms. Snap. It's a bottoming pattern with a void. Even if it gets to $6, that would be a huge percent. I'll set an alarm 542. Oh, I read in the journal that federal court ordered Trump to start paying back these $130 billion of illegally taken tariffs. Sloppier, but same concept. Yeah. Charlie Mike, that was a buy setup triggered yesterday, but still, it's fine. Look at that power on the monthly. I wonder if that's a Watt ending bar last month. we only have 4 days of March, but that's February's bar. It's the biggest one on the whole chart. I like this one better just because it has more room, I think. I'll set an alarm 3420. Yeah, similar to the other one. Set an alarm 3550. NSC. It's bullish. That's a railroad. Let's set an alarm at 318.60. This is these are all opens or alarms. We'll just go through them here in the next couple of minutes. NLR, we bought a half lot on this buy setup. Fell apart. EHC we're in buy setup. Team has not triggered, but I got an alarm at 78.50. Another bottoming pattern, Climo weekly. NOW, that's a 1, 2, 3 from a bottoming pattern. And you can see the retest on the daily, and then the retest on the weekly here also. All right, Walmart, low alarm. Oh shoot, what's going on with Walmart? That just hit our stop pre-market. So let's give it. Well, that looks like news. That's a big bar. Let's give it a. This one's a judgment call. How long do we want to wait before killing it? I'm going to say 15 minutes just to give me a couple minutes to watch it. KNX is a transport that we're in. We're also in Odafel. This one's stronger. I moved this stop to yesterday's low. Daku, I like this pattern. Another bottoming. Climo. I posted it yesterday morning, but it did not trigger. But now I like it better. It's a small little 1, 2, 3. And it's gapping down, so it shouldn't trigger. Amazon, I had this in last letter, and I canceled it because it wasn't going to get filled. But what's interesting on these 3 green bars, it might not jump out at you, but they're gap downs. They're gap downs that close strong. So that's a bullish pullback, believe it or not. And so yesterday's gap, that was a 5-minute high. Beautiful day trade pattern. Hotel Lima. Yeah, we bought this thing right there on that breakout. It looks so good. And then the whole sector got smacked a little. Hubs, another bottoming pattern. Climo. I said it half dozen times already. These patterns are all over the place. XPO, we're in half lot. All right, I got a bunch of alarms going off here. Let me focus on those first. Team alarm. All right, it maybe 30-minute low, but I'm not doing anything now. The team looks good. IGV. Up alarm. When my alarms go off, I don't know if they're up or down alarms. So that's relative strength that it's up. So that's good. I'll reset it higher, 86. 80. Low alarm 85, 80. You know what? I'm gonna check the premiums. I might leg into a covered call on mine. So I would sell one DTE, let's see the 87s for tomorrow. 20 by 95. So what I'm gonna do is put an order out for 75. So if I get 75 cents a share and it's 60 cents higher, then that improves my cost basis. All right, order sent. Microsoft alarm. That was a tight alarm. We're in this as a put spread. Another bottoming pattern. I will reset the alarm 409, 402. Snap alarm. Yeah, there's your snap is good to go, Alex. Snap looks good. I would give it a little bigger stop than yesterday's low, unless it's a day trade, and then day trade is stop well, stop under 530 maybe. But swing out.
BRZE from yesterday. Sorry for
Oh,
interrupting. BRZE.
freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, let's buy us. Now this one I definitely would be Tuesday's low. But you see the difference between Snap and this in terms of confidence of the stop and where it should not go. See that? Freeze buy over 1995. Hmm. I mean, it actually took out yesterday's high, so you could nibble now. Would be fine. I got filled on that IGV calls for 75 cents. All right, this burrow, I'm gonna put threes here. A burrow, nah, it's a mess. This Wiley, its gap's too big. Our Calf, I had an up alarm, but what a big mess that is. All right, moving MA alarm. No, that's an early alarm. Fin X alarm. Another bottoming pattern. Climo. All over the place. EHC. All right, that's a low alarm. Hubs. Hubs looks good. Target 50 MA. All right, Breeze just hit 1996. Well, a lot of up alarms here. So that is just kind of a visual and auditory alert of bullish activity. that pretty later. I mean, the 50 is there, but I think it's going to the gap fill hubs. Your stop would have to be Tuesday's low. And the R is a mess. Daku is triggering. All right, so that's triggering a directional that I posted yesterday.
Where's the stop on that one, man?
Right here. So tell me if you want to change it.
I think it's plenty far away.
What's under the green bar? Tuesday. Tuesday. Where else would it be?
I hear you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying it's plenty far away.
I didn't hear the word plenty. I'm sorry. I thought you said like it was too far away. Gotcha.
Fuse into the gap fill, almost. Nice 5-minute bar. Supportive that it could potentially eat through that resistance. That's an assumption because of the size of the bar, how the buying that took it right from the open. The futures came down to a trader pivot line, which I assumed it was just futures traders jumping on that pullback. Now we'll see what it does as it comes into this resistance.